So I'll just get everybody's a moment to get the meeting frame of mind. All right, 6 o'clock, we're going to call this meeting to order. This is the meeting of the Ketchikan Public Library Advisory Board, our quarterly meeting, April 9th here at the City Hall Council Chambers, beautiful downtown Ketchikan, Alaska. And if we could take roll.
Okay, let's see, Jack Finnegan.
Here.
Nina Hops. Here. Sherry Montgomery. Here. Kate Govar.
I'm here.
Charlie Arnson.
Is it?
Diane Liljegren.
Here.
June Dahl.
Here.
Grant Echohawk.
Present.
And Sophia Pilgrim is not present.
Okay, all right, thank you very much.
Mhm.
So the next item is the introduction of new board members. So we do have a new board member, Ms. Diane Liljegren. Did I say that?
Yes, you did.
Did
Very
I?
good.
Oh, thank you. I'd like to just open up the floor a few moments. If you'd like to just introduce yourself to the community.
My name is Diane Liljegren. I'm a retired family physician and I've lived in town since 1992 and I love it here and I love the library.
Excellent. Well, welcome to the advisory board.
Thank you.
All right, I'm excited to be working with you. So now we'll go ahead and rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I say it.
And then for item number 4, I asked Mr. Finnegan if he could please read our land acknowledgement.
Thank you, Mr. Echohawk. We are on Tlingit land, and we would like to acknowledge and give honor and respect to the traditional landowners, the Tlingit elders, past, present, and future generations. We honor the relationships that exist between Tlingit, Haida, and Tsimshian peoples.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So item number 5, approval of the agenda. If I can have, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as a guide.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. Are there any adjustments recommended for the agenda before we take roll? Hearing none. Okay, we'll go and take roll.
Okay. Arnson.
Yes.
Dahl.
Yes.
Finnegan.
Yes.
Govars.
Yes.
Hops. Yes. Liljegren.
Here, yes.
Montgomery.
Yes.
Echohawk.
Yes.
All right, ayes have it.
All right, thank you. Item number 6 is approval of January 15, 2025 meeting minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the January 15th meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have moved and seconded. Are there any adjustments that anybody would like to recommend on the minutes before we take roll? Hearing none, go and take roll.
See, Finnegan.
Yes.
Govars.
I abstain.
Okay. Hops. Yes. Liljegren.
Yes.
Montgomery.
Yes.
Echohawk.
Yes.
Arnson.
Yes.
Dahl.
Yes.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7 yays and 1 abstention and 1 absent.
All right, thank you very much. Next, item number 7 is correspondence. Do we have any correspondence from the community?
Let's see. I did not receive any correspondence.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And then item number 8 is public comments. We'll go and open up the floor for any public comments. Did we have anybody sign up?
Oh, I don't think so.
The packed room.
Yeah, I didn't see any. Okay, we have nobody signed up. I'll leave the floor open for a few moments. If anybody wants to rush on up to the podium, we'll give them a few moments to do that. Okay, seeing none, we'll go and close out public comment. So item number 9, this is a big meeting for us. We have our nominations and election of new board chair and vice chair. I have been sitting at the board chair for the last year, and Miss Charlie Arnson has been the vice chair, and it's been done an excellent job. Thank you very much.
This has actually been a year. Like
Yeah,
I
it's
was looking
been-
at this and I'm like, we just did this.
Yeah, it's been a whole year. What I'll do is we'll open up the floor. We were gonna do like a paper ballot, right?
Yes, I think after nominations.
After
we'll do the
nominations.
paper-
paper
yeah.
ballot. So what we'll do is we'll open up the floor for the, first, the chair, will accept nominations, do the vote, and then we'll open up the floor for the vice chair, accept nominations, do the vote. So for the first nominations, I'll entertain any nominations for the board chair. Yes.
I nominate Brenda Eckelhawk
Oh, thank
for
you.
chair.
Okay, thank you. Any other nominations? Okay, hearing none, we'll go close out this nomination. Actually, I don't know what happens if we just have one. I saw it. She just sent me the Robert's rules and they had a section that says, if you only have one nominated, then I was like, well, we'll probably have two or three. So
Right.
I think we just
I think we just,
close that.
yes, I think
So,
so.
okay, we still take a vote though, right?
Yeah, I imagine we would.
I think yeah,
Yes.
so thank you for the nomination. I'd be more than happy to continue to serve as chair on this advisory board. So I'll go and open up for a roll call. For
Let's see.
Grant Eckelhawk as continued
Okay.
board chair.
Let me do this.
What's that? Do you want to do paper?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry. We are doing paper ballots.
Yep,
Yes.
we absolutely can.
Yes, thank you.
We do need to sign them.
Yeah.
Nice design.
Thanks.
Are we supposed to pull?
Oh, let's see. So it looks like what we agreed to last meeting was that two board members who are not being considered for the office shall count the vote. So.
Look, figure.
Told it was Christina.
I don't see.
Super secret.
Got her name.
I'll make sure she's not cheating.
Yeah, supervising over there. Dr. Handwriting leaves a little to be desired.
Everybody else does.
That's a really nice pen, though. That made my penmanship look much better. Yeah, that's really
Unanimous.
Oh,
Mr.
yeah,
Echo.
that's okay.
nice. Thank
Sure,
you.
one for that word.
Anonymous.
All right, well, thank you very much. I'll go ahead and open up the floor for nominations for vice chair.
Nomination.
We have one nomination. Any others? Okay, seeing none, then we'll go ahead and pass out the ballots for
Okay.
another vote.
Make it official.
We do that.
The count, they spell my name wrong.
Did from the council.
Just like that. It's not my favorite.
I was like, do I take it?
Yeah.
Try to
I was concerned about the last one to make sure that I.
Are you double checking right now?
And then he mailed back that Alice.
Yes, please.
No. I don't know how he goes to
I think your name is spelled right.
All of them.
Ooh,
Unanimous once again.
unanimous.
All right, well, congratulations to our vice chair. This is excellent. All right, so with the conclusion of our new board and chair for the next year, I would like to just quickly say that I'm really excited to be working with y'all again. I'm looking forward to what we accomplish this year. So we'll go ahead and move on to item 10, reports. And our first report is the Friends of the Library, Ms. Nina Fox.
All right, so bear with me because I tend to leave things out if I don't write them down.
Sure.
I get frazzled. All right, so for the Friends, we have started our collecting for the fall sale. However, we started during landslide and we only had one member on the other side. So there was a dribble. But thanks to Heidi, she was the one that held it down for us. Our next collection date is April 26th. It's noon to 2 p.m. Saturday. So it's every fourth Saturday until the fall. Just remember, every fourth Saturday. We are not taking media anymore. So no cassettes or DVDs or things like that. That's the biggest change. And just remember, like, condition that you would give to someone. And then I wanted to check real quick. We don't take magazines, but Rebecca, the outreach, they still collect magazines at the library?
From the last couple of years.
Okay, so recent, not 1982.
Probably.
Okay. So if you do have magazines, they can go to the library for the outreach program. And if you can't wait for our fall sale, we always have the dollar cart. I want to promote the dollar cart. A lot of people don't know, in the lobby of the library, there's a constantly revolving, updated, fresh stuff. I mean, day to day, even new stuff that will be packed through the summer for sale for $1, which I think is a great deal. And they're going to get some upgraded signage. And if you want to see that, our next Friends meeting is April 15th, next Tuesday at 6 p.m. at the library. And the public is welcome. So please come hear about what's going on at the library with the Friends. We're going to have guest speakers. Sophia was our speaker last year. And yep, Rebecca's going to be your speaker this year. So, but it'll be different-ish. Just support her anyways. And also the correction facilities, a former correction facilities employee that June has been working with her book club at the prison. And that'll be really interesting. So please come and hear all about the things that the Friends are doing. We're always looking for volunteers. So if you're curious at all, please come to the meeting and sign up with our email, because June sends out a lovely email to keep updated. And please, we have a new Facebook page. So if you use Facebook, I'm going to give it the plug, is that our old Facebook is no more. And the new one is called Friends of the Library Catch a Can. So please add, follow. We'll be more active in updating that and keeping things on that page that's happening with the Friends. Yeah, got it all in.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
If I may,
Yeah.
what was the collection point for books?
It is the U-Haul storage unit
Okay.
across from the trooper station.
Yeah.
The U-Haul.
Up on board.
And there'll be a sign and you can see us. We'll have people.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I have one quick question. Is there one type of book or literature that seems to be most popular that you all have noticed, or?
Sci-fi, fantasy, romance, and mystery thriller.
Ooh,
Those are the big three.
okay.
Yeah. I bet it really depends though too. Yeah, it depends on different books sell at the library as opposed to the book sale. Alaska books are always really popular. We're wide readers, and there's a lot of very interesting things and unique things that come in for our donations and collections. So that's why the book sale is so expansive.
When we had our bookstore, we would get a few westerns and they would go. We rarely had extra western books. So there's that contingency in town.
Mhm.
I think. Next we have, I'm sorry, the City Council report, Mr. Jack Finnegan.
Yes, and Ms. Tully might be addressing this in her director's report, but Pat came before the council last Thursday at our regular meeting to discuss the library's efforts to resolve an issue that had arisen out of the closure of the school library, the Ketchikan Charter School. And my understanding is that those students have been given access to library materials. A workaround was found.
Yes.
I think there's some tension between the district system and the public library system. And to address whatever the nature of that tension might be, the nature of the processes or the policies involved, Mayor Sievertson asked Acting Assistant City Manager Sean Hart to take a look at those policies and bring them back to the council as a discussion item so that we can ensure that kids have access to the materials that we want them to be able to get a hold of.
All right, any questions for Mrs. Finnegan? All right, thank you. Let's see, and then anything from the Borough Assembly, Ms. Shirley Arnson.
I don't have anything specific to report from the assembly. I'll just make note that we're in the middle of our budget process right now. So we'll be moving that forward by the 1st of June, at the latest. And yeah, that's all I got for dinner.
Thank you. All right, and last we have the library's report from the library director, Pat Tully.
Yes. So you should have a lovely little report. And as has been the case the past couple times, the front page is all the ongoing programs that we do. And then the back page are special programs or things that are more unique to this quarter. We had our youth winter reading program. It ended on January 15th, and 175 kids participated, which is pretty good for the winter program. We also had the adult winter reading challenge, which took place through March 18th, and there was a prize party. Trying to think that it happened on the 23rd or the week after. I know we had to postpone it a week, but I think we had something like 50 something participants in the adult winter reading challenge, which was good. Gail Brooks has been doing monthly Craft and Connect adult craft programs, like in-house adult craft programs. They began in January, and they've been really popular. She does sort of the in-house craft program, and she also has a video that she posted to YouTube. And those videos have gotten a lot of notice, which has been great. In February, we did our annual inventory of physical collections, and only 53 items could not be located. And that's, they're not in the building. They're not checked out. They are like no case. Now that's about half of the number of items that we had last year. So that felt pretty good.
Is there a
So
theme to what goes missing? Is there a theme to what goes missing each year?
I don't know that there is. It's interesting because there are certain collections that we suspect might have more things go missing, but it's usually a combination of things like sneaking out the front door. And then also our system can be tricky when it comes to checking things out. So every once in a while, a book will, we think we've checked it out. It beeps, but it is not checked out. So some of those 53 might be things that are going to come back eventually. But we didn't check them out when we thought we did. So yeah, that was great. Let's see, whatever. We had our first jigsaw puzzle tournament on January 15th, which was really popular. It was two-person teams working against the clock. I think just last weekend we had the second jigsaw puzzle tournament. And so that was really exciting. One of our subs, Heather Phelps, comes up with really interesting ideas for programs. So that's been really great to have her be part of that. We premiered Hoopla, which is a streaming platform for a variety of formats, audio and ebooks, films and shows. And so far we got, I think, well over 50 people signed up. And by far the most popular format is audiobooks. So, so that's my report. Should I report that we have installed the water bottle?
We do have to report that every meeting.
Every meeting. Water bottle filler is still there.
It is still there.
When you come to our annual meeting next week, bring your own bottle with a lid, and then you can have a ceremonial fill.
Excellent. And Ms. Shirley, you had a question?
Yeah, I also noticed that you attended the leadership seminar,
Yes,
and it mentioned in here that the topic was the state budget process.
yes.
And I was wondering if you had any things that you might want to share about that experience.
Oh,
or
it was,
nuggets.
I think what kind of surprised us, we had the leader of the state's Libraries, Archives, and Museums Division, which is a part of the State Department of Education. And she was amazingly forthright, giving us, spreadsheets, and here's how the budget is formed. And there was some tension last year about the state's budget and whether or not the public library assistance grants, which are given to libraries across the state who apply. It's $7,000 across the board, no matter how large your library. And this doesn't affect us as much, but for the very small libraries, that may be their only budget. So there was a lot of tension because that got cut significantly last year. And there was a grassroots effort, and we managed to get that restored. The head of LAM, Libraries, Archives, and Museums, really talked us through what the budget process for their division looks like, and how that feeds into the legislature and the governor and that kind of thing. So it was really enlightening. I mean, I think there were a lot of things we didn't understand about the budget when we're going through all that about the public library assistance grant. So incredibly helpful to have that background information.
Thank you for being able to tell me all that on the spot. Appreciate it.
Any other questions for Ms. Tully?
What's the difference from the audiobook perspective in Hoopla versus Libby?
Oh, I think.
I can do that one. You want me to do that one?
Oh, you want to do that?
Yeah,
one?
okay, so, have you used Libby?
Yes.
Okay, so with Libby, you can request, and oftentimes there's a hold. Like, I have all of my holds maxed out. There's like 72 weeks on several holds. The Hoopla edition is the library purchases how many credits, and so it's available instantly.
Okay.
So there's no wait time. So Hoopla is great if you want an instant book and you don't want to just wait for it to come available. And it only allows you to check out, I believe it's like 4 per month.
I think it's like 5 per month. Basically with Hoopla, we pay by the drink. So basically, every time somebody uses a resource, we pay a little fee. So we're keeping it at 5 for now to kind of see how that budget goes. They do have things in place where we'll get warned if people are using too many resources. But yeah, we're testing it out for now. And yeah, people love the idea that there aren't any holds.
There aren't any holds, and then it also has like video, movies,
TV shows,
graphic novels,
Yes.
all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
How does Canopy fit into that?
Oh, Canopy is, as far as I know, it is strictly video, film, kind of. And we've got 2 packets. We've got documentaries and what was it, Easy Watching, which is kind of like, my understanding is that's kind of the Hallmark movie kind of package. They're not all Hallmark movies, but they're all that genre. And if I understand correctly, I haven't really used it. I don't think there is a limit on the number of films you can watch with Canopy.
Any other questions? Okay, here I am. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, and next we have item 11 for outreach services. Miss Rebecca Brown.
Nope.
Dropping both shirts. Yes. Okay, we can start the outreach services presentation, Mr. DeMello. Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Rebecca Brown, and I am Outreach Services at the Ketchikan Public Library. I am so excited that each of the library divisions has an opportunity to describe to you what we do at the library, and so thanks for having me this evening. This first photo contains a slice of what we're going to see later on in the presentation, but this is the 2023 Southeast Alaska Independent Living Crew
that helped us install and maintain the sensory garden when it was first started then. It's a really exciting thing that we did as part of outreach, and so we'll get to that in just a moment. Next slide. So this whole week, you guys have probably seen this on social media, is National Library Week. And today, April 9th, is National Library Outreach Services Day. So, yay, thank you for having the meeting tonight so I can say that. I have the absolute delight of delivering to individuals with mobility issues and to facilities or the residents that live there that access is very difficult when it comes to the library. And this includes all of our senior citizen homes, the hospital, the correctional facility, RYC, WISH, and our local homeless shelter, PATH. Next slide. So this is actually an old poster, but I really feel like that it brilliantly captures the vibe that is outreach services. I drive anywhere on the island in my little trusty gray Subaru, but I used to have a red Subaru, and there was an inside joke. All of the posters had my little red Subaru on it, and so it was like kind of a go-go gadget thing that was happening there. But yes, I go all over the island and I deliver where services are needed, or I appear in places where programs are needed. Next slide. So home-based services, this is what a lot of my job is, and outreach patrons who receive home delivery, they're mostly elderly, but we have had some younger patrons, and those have included people who are recovering from knee surgery, hip surgery, have had stroke, or were living with agoraphobia. Outreach visits, they might just be a couple of times, but oftentimes they are indefinite for people who are homebound. And popular items for checkout include books, DVD movies, music, magazine, and audiobooks. And you guys were talking about the digital services a little bit ago. A lot of my elderly folks that I deliver to, they either don't want access to the internet or their understanding of it is pretty limited. And so I'm able to help them with that at their homes too, for people that have cell phones and iPads and computers. Just to help them get connected to those services that are online. But most of those folks prefer a physical book or magazine or a DVD movie. Next slide. So senior center partnerships, this is also something that I do each week. I pretty much do deliveries that often include a short program like a Read Aloud, nearly every day that I'm at the library. And so this includes the Pioneer Home, which is a weekly visit. Ketchikan Indian Community Elder Cafe, which is the first Monday of each month, New Horizons Long-Term Care, and Rendezvous Senior Day Services. And so it's been a fantastic way to get our library information out in the community. In the case of the Elder Cafe at KIC, that was this last Monday, I have an information table that I set up, and I'm able to put out some discarded or donated books. Thank you, Friends of the Library, for helping with that. And I also bring in some library books that aren't for people to take, but it's to sort of tempt them, to make them realize what we have on our shelves that they might find interesting. And I have been able to set up from that program some library cards for people that didn't have library cards already because they got so excited about those materials that I brought that just weren't for takeaway. And then we also have free magazines that we give away to the elders there, and then I bring some library swag. We have this fantastic tree that has bookmarks, and so I'll always grab some of those. We have stickers. This last week I brought seeds from our seed catalog. We have this amazing seed catalog that if you haven't checked that out, please come in and see it. But I brought larger seeds for those elder hands. And also, if we had any kind of an accident, I'd be able to easily find them on the floor. So we did that. So that was really enjoyed. Next slide. And then we also have a number of facility housing partnerships. All of these places are spots that I deliver materials or bring outreach programs on a regular basis. These programs are customized to meet the unique needs of each facility's residents. For example, in the case of Ketchikan Correctional Center, they receive weekly deliveries. And then at Sea View Terrace, we do a quarterly information table there. And we tried different approaches, but what I found to be the biggest draw is we do a free hot cocoa giveaway. And so people will come, it brings them out of their apartments. And then there's the usual free books, meaning discarded or donated, free magazines. We have free DVDs that are donated to the library. I just was hearing that we're not going to be accepting those anymore from the Friends of the Library, but we still get them from time to time at our branch. And so those are also things that people eagerly take, because there's a lot of people who don't have the money for streaming services. And so they appreciate those actual DVDs. And then in the case of Wish, RYC, and our homeless shelter, they all receive regular deliveries of discarded or donated materials, since these folks are not eligible for regular library cards, because you need to have a place where you can receive mail in order to be able to get a library card. So that's why I visit those spots. And I also wanted to note that the Friends of the Library makes some money available for us to be able to purchase magazines to help with these deliveries. Next slide. So we're at the sensory garden. I'm excited. So our library garden became dormant, pun totally intended, after we had this wonderful staff member. It was Rebecca Jackson. She planned it, and then she moved south. That's where her life took her. And I was inspired by a public radio segment on, it was up north. They had this adaptive gardening project with the raised beds for senior citizens and for people who use equipment like wheelchairs or walkers. And I thought, man, we have that right outside at the library. And so I was able to partner with First City Homeless when they were in operation, and Southeast Alaska Independent Living to plant a completely deer-resistant sensory garden. And so we had softbox. We still have softbox. All of these will be back this summer. Sweetly smelling, showy, swishy, and squirmy. And I made this squirmy move up there a little bit because, you know, yay technology. But also, next slide, to introduce the squirmy box. And there's a little bit of a slow moving movie there, but though that's our worm box. That's what the squirmy box is. And people have super loved that thing, especially the kids, but all ages. Marzette Ellis held a worm workshop there last year, and we put facts of worms on the side of the box. I have put my sources there at the bottom, like every good library user should. And so we have that on the side of the box, but people have loved seeing vermiculture in action. But the whole sensory garden, it's a touch, it's a smell, it's a feel. And if you haven't checked it out, please be sure to stop by this summer and take a look. Next slide. And then we also, in Outreach Services, do the What's on Your Shelf column. And this is something that was started in 2021. The library used to have a library column called AdLib, and it was running concurrently for a time, but now this is our library representation in the Ketchikan Daily News. And as of last month, I'm pleased to say that that was its 50th column, which is a big deal. And we've had a really awesome cross-section of people from the community of all ages, from teenagers to very elderly. You might note that there's some people that are at this table that are pictured there, because I'm looking for really good readers, but I'm looking for all different segments. The next person who will be featured will be CJ David Chauffeur, and he is a local gardening guy that's amazing. But I just really love how this column, we've gotten phenomenal feedback on it, on how these folks have connected with books, the life-saving, world-illuminating power of books. And we've also learned about community members, because we all have more in common than any of us appreciate or realize. And I think that's what this column has helped with, in addition to shedding light on reading. And so, yeah, Jen Powell was number 50. You can let her know that, June Dahl.
Yeah.
Next slide. Something else that's really exciting that Outreach has done. One of my predecessors, a couple of me ago, had got this idea to do book shares all over the island, but he kind of ran out of time before he moved away. And so I found that in my files when I first started, and we've been able to plant book shares in all of these locations, and that's Ketchikan Public Health. The rec center was already there, but also at Frontier Shipping, North Shore Garden, Green Bean Coffee, Just Dandy Apothecary, Three Bears Gas Station, Highliner Laundromat, Mary Frances Building, and our most recent one was at Alaska Public Assistance. And that's a really exciting one because there's some funding that's in place there to make that a really slick one. So if you have not seen these guys, be sure to check them out. And it's also, whether it's tied into these book shares or not, there's kind of been a movement, it seems like, in the last few years for people to begin these at their homes. But I also wanted to put a plug in. I'm always looking for a new spot, a new business, or a new public building to plant one of these guys. So if you have any ideas, let me know, and I'm happy to do a cold call. Yes, ma'am.
Island Time and Veterinary does have a book share.
Yes, yes, they're on our list. We also have a map of book shares that's available on our website, and they're one of the ones that's on there, but it's a lot of book shares. I think it's close to 30, I want to say. It's a lot. Next slide. So these are our first quarter outreach stats. We just completed our first quarter of 2025. 296 locals received deliveries or participated in outreach programs, 337 library materials distributed, and 47 facility deliveries into our programs. And so that's just for the first 3 months of this year. That's pretty standard for every year. And then I used to report on the hundreds of donated items that we also contribute to these various places, but there's really no place for that statistic on the various reports, and so I've stopped reporting on that, but it's a ton. Also, I wanted to use this opportunity to highlight that little guy up in the corner, that memory kit. That's something that we started a couple years ago. These are themed boxes containing supplies for caregivers to interact with loved ones or their clients, and the themes for these boxes are ocean, home, and animals. And it includes stuff that you can touch. There's books, there's movies, there's music in some cases, there's art. So if you have anyone in your life that is experiencing a cognitive issue, that's a fantastic thing to check out at the library to try interacting with them. I also thought down this same aisle, I wanted to just remind folks, puzzles are there, large print magazines, and we have book club kits. And that's something that I wanted to highlight is that one of my personal victories is when we're able to figure out how to do something free. I like free. And we use donated puzzles to create popular checkout items. And we have book sets that have been given to the library to create those book club kits. And so those were at no cost. The memory kits, that was as a result of a grant from Friends of the Library, but I love doing something for nothing. Next slide. In 2022, the Ketchikan Public Library performed a comprehensive community survey that asked for feedback on our adult, children's, teen, and outreach services. And this is a sampling of some of the very kind comments that people made about outreach services. Very humbling, incredibly appreciated to read these impact statements, especially from some of those people that made those comments are no longer living, but very impactful for me. Especially when it comes to folks that really I'm one of the very few people that they see day in or day out when it comes to their monthly visits. Next slide. And so that's it. But I also want to highlight one more thing that outreach does, and that is we do a senior tech time. It runs about quarterly. The very generous folks at KPU Telecom, they bring in a passel of computer gurus, I guess they could best be described as. They do a short talk on the current tech scams that are happening, and then they offer one-on-one help with seniors that they can't find someone to help them with their phone or their tablet or their computer. It's a very well-attended program. But it's another way that outreach services is helping the elderly community and helping them connect to information that they need. And so that's everything that I have for outreach services, but if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
And thank you, Becca, for the presentation, for the work that you're doing. I do know that during the city council's budget cycle in this past year, the council approved a small increased outreach services hours. And I wondered if that change has been effectuated, and if so, if you might be able to characterize the impact it's had on the program.
Well, really, it's more of me using my less volunteer time, so I'm coming out on my days off to, get stuff done and doing stuff at home, and so that really is that. I am a division of 1, and I'm a 3/4 time person. So all of these things that I've talked about has been me, myself, and I. And it's a labor of love, and I'm happy to spend my off hours doing this stuff. The sensory garden is a collaboration also with my husband and children. But it just allows me more of that time to be able to do that on the clock.
Thank you.
Yes. And then here is some information. I wasn't sure how to fit it in, but serendipitously, the Pioneer Home with their newsletter did a spotlight of the services that I offer. So I just printed out that page that I'll pass out to you. And there's also a brochure and one of my business cards, which are quite clever if you look at them, also free. And so take a look at those. And if you ever have any questions, or if you have someone in your life that could benefit from outreach services, I would love to talk to them. Thank you.
There was cards going to
Oh, forever.
I scrolled away some, just in case.
I love it.
This is delightful. Well, thank you very much, Becca, for everything you do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and for those that can't see, this is the card, the business card is attached to an old Dewey Decimal. Is that what this is?
Old, it's old catalog cards.
Catalog card with the, pull the, okay. So, next item is item 12, unfinished business, which I don't believe we have.
Hmm?
And we,
Not that I could tell.
okay, thank you. So then we'll move on to item 13A, reading of the U.S. Constitution preamble at the Library Advisory Board meeting. I had proposed that we bring this forward for open for discussion. So for new business, I'm unclear. Do we need a motion to open up the conversation? I believe we do.
Probably, yes.
Yeah, okay.
I would think.
So then I would entertain a motion to have a discussion about reading the U.S. Constitution preamble at Library Advisory Board meetings as part of our items of business to get the meeting started.
Second.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I was somebody else. I'm sorry. Somebody else would need to make the motion.
sorry.
Yeah. So that was my bad. So I would
Still
entertain a
learning.
motion.
Oh, I'll make the,
Is that like a work session that you're wanting to go into, or what's the?
A discussion, really. I don't know that it's an action item.
Yeah, maybe it is just a work session. So let's do. Oh, I think so.
I think.
Okay. So then,
It's a little more relaxed.
yeah, that sounds good. So then, without a,
I'll move.
okay.
I'll move
perfect.
that we go into a work session to discuss the preamble of the Constitution being read at the beginning of the Library Advisory Board meetings.
Perfect.
Second.
Thank you. All right. So moved and seconded. Can I get any discussion before we take roll? Hearing none, we'll go and take roll.
Okay. See, go Bars.
Yes, we're approving going into a work session.
okay. Sorry.
So was that, yes, okay. Hops,
Yes.
Liljegren,
Yes.
Montgomery.
Yes.
Let's see, Echo Hawk,
Yes.
Arnson. Yes. Dahl,
Yes.
Finnegan.
Yes.
Okay. The ayes have it.
All right, thank you. So what I'd like to do, if you don't mind, if I could kick us off with kind of my thought process around this. So the preamble of the Constitution of the United States of America, I would argue, is probably one of the most impactful and powerful statements made in all of Western history. I think it is well articulated, beautifully crafted, and I'd like to read it real quick and then go into the philosophical reason why I believe it fits nicely within what we'd like to do as a library advisory board. Maybe somewhere between the, maybe right after the Pledge of Allegiance and the land acknowledgement would be a good place to put it. But so the preamble of the United States of the Constitution reads as, "We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America." Now, the reason why I think that these particular words are very important relative to what we do and really any institution of knowledge and learning is that what caused what set the drafters of the Constitution apart from their contemporaries was that they were highly educated. They were highly educated men who could think critically about the conditions that they were in, who could take a look at the oppressive regime that they were existing in, and then know their history well enough to be able to set down a groundwork that could, in their greatest effort, prevent the new republic that they were wishing to form not descend into the oppressive regimes that had been so prevalent throughout the European nations. And so this, I believe, is a testament of education. It is a testament of knowledge. And I think that whenever an oppressive regime of any kind wishes to subjugate or keep down a group of people, the restriction or lack of education, the restriction of lack of knowledge is always a tool that is used. When we look all throughout history, that is something that is always, I could not find a single example to where that restriction of access to information, access to knowledge wasn't a tool used in various marginalized and oppressed people throughout all of human history. It is a common tool of oppression. And so what really strikes me about these particular words, I believe it is a celebration of knowledge. It is a celebration of education. And it causes us to, I think, acknowledge the fact that the drafters of the Constitution they were educated in philosophy, they were educated in their own history, they were educated in languages and the sciences. Essentially, from my perspective, they had a liberal arts degree. They were well-rounded, educated people. And so I think for those reasons that if we included it after the Pledge of Allegiance, and then this, and then the land acknowledgement, and that is the reason why. So, any other items of discussion or questions as far as why I asked to bring this forward? Yes, ma'am.
I have to ask, did anyone else hear the Schoolhouse Rock song while he was reading? I was just like, I was waiting for him to bust out the tune.
I'm all for it if we actually get to sing.
I
it.
know, that's kind of where. Wait, no, I'm just kidding. I think this is an interesting take. I'm not opposed. I feel like it's a little bit unnecessary, but not out of disrespect, just time management. I don't have any opposition to this, and I like how you packaged it and put it before the board, and I will be singing this tonight when I get home.
I'm gonna look it up on my way home.
Any other questions, comments, ideas?
Well, it made me think about the fact that, what we do here has a large impact, that we're part of the global community, but we're based in what our forefathers did. So in that way, I can see it is appropriate for us. I don't think it's remembered.
Yes.
I feel like we went over this a long time ago. Did you, correct me if I'm wrong, Did you want to include this in the, when we were redoing the, what was
Collection
that?
development?
Yes, collection development, was that?
Well, I did add, one motion I had was a library preamble,
Okay,
and that's the one that I drafted.
yeah,
And that's now part of the library
Mhm.
development,
Collection development.
collection development. So that's one that I personally drafted, and that was
Mhm.
one that was presented and then approved by the board. And
Yes.
is now part of the
okay.
document.
I feel like, did we do this before? Okay, different preamble. Got it. It's been a little while. I have no objections to it. The only thing that I would like to suggest, and you're much better spoken than me, much more well-spoken. See, I'm failing already. When we say the land acknowledgement, like, it's kind of obvious why we're saying that. So I don't know if maybe there's like an introduction that like you could come up with before you say the preamble, like, out of respect for education and everything that we hold true and dear, we will now recite the preamble. Just, I don't know, like, I feel like, so it just doesn't sound so out of place after we do the Pledge of Allegiance, have like a lead in to that, and then we do the land acknowledgement and then get on with our business.
Yeah.
That would be my only suggestion, is kind of have an introduction to
Yeah.
the preamble, so it's not just like, why did he say that? For other people, I mean, we know because we're here, but
Sure.
that would be my only two.
I like it. Yes, ma'am.
Is the intent that we would all say it together or that you as chair would read it?
Probably whoever chairs would read it. Yeah.
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 Totally singing it.
The rest of us be singing it. We'll be singing it.
Unless we have a PA that can play the music, then yes, then be.
I
But I was,
support this one.
any other?
To Sherry's point, I agree with that. The last line, the do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America, is just weird. It's
Yeah.
like, love the philosophy, love the placement seems slightly off. And I either have it couched in, this is why we're doing it, and one sentence, this is one sentence, so a shorter one sentence, this is why. And to Charlie's point too, time management piece of that, I don't want to dismiss something as powerful as the preamble to the Constitution, but I also don't want to add a laundry list of things to each one of our meetings that then may get, like, someone down the road 10 years from now will be like, the first hour is. So, either couch it or have it as like a tagline somewhere in our agenda. Maybe that's like, can we have a footnote? Can we have, maybe this is the root of what we are doing and why, as maybe something that is differently placed as maybe like a, yeah, footnotes, the best I got.
So I'll just make sure I understand. So in the, so more of a reference to the preamble rather than the actual preamble?
That's, this is Kate's brain.
Sure.
Verbally dumping on you all, so, forgive. Thinking of it as almost like a, I don't have a word for that. I'm a professional communicator, if you don't know. But I just, either in like some aspect of our charter almost, of kind of, and maybe that goes into the conversation of who we are and what we do and the root of that. Rooting it or creating it as just this like checkbox of recalling in this, the subtext, the end note, the footnote. I'm offering that as an option or an alternative. Whether I like that option or alternative or not, I don't know. It's just an option or alternative.
Yes, Ms. Nancy.
Do we have a library advisory board page on the website?
We do.
And it just has the board members. It doesn't have any other additional information.
I think
or-
there's like a little introduction and then board members and terms and that kind of thing. And the links to meeting minutes and the most current. agenda. So, you think you could go there?
I'm just
I-
saying things.
I like that.
I like saying that, like, we are guided by
Yeah. I
Yeah.
like
this
that.
premise.
A mission statement kind of
Yes.
of the advisory board.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to find.
Yeah.
Thank you. Like our mission and values.
Yeah.
This is what roots our values. And
I really like that. So, I mean, what do you guys think?
I like that as a suggestion, in part because I think we're more like, anybody who's looking to learn more about what the library advisory report is and does is going to find information there than they are. We don't often have heavy attendance at these meetings. I don't know how often the videos that are posted are watched by anybody online. And that would be a direct way for that message and the philosophy that it encapsulates to be communicated to anybody who is interested in learning about what the values of the library advisory board might be. Because I feel I'm sort of aligned with Charlie and Kate and Sherry here in that I feel like it's sort of more of a want than a need. And not that I object, of course, to identifying these values at our meetings. But this might be a direct and succinct way to communicate that information and those values without us ticking the box, so to speak, here at a meeting, which is, I mean, I'm glad we do land acknowledgements, but that's even something that I sometimes, I don't know, getting a little off topic, but sometimes I feel like land acknowledgements in some situations and in some places feel a little bit like, okay, we've hit the mark. Let's get on with our business. And I feel like there's something lost in that sometimes. I don't necessarily feel that that's the case here because I think we attend to that acknowledgement sincerely, but I like this suggestion because I think it folds what the library advisory board is and does under that umbrella in a way that's tidy.
Sure.
I think it would be more visible. It would be actually viewed more than here.
you can link it to the Constitution.
You can link it, yep,
Oh.
for further reading.
Oh, man.
Yep.
We
Cite your
all have
sources.
an
Oh, that
I'm very jealous of Constitution.
There's a story behind this. My dad gave this to me,
Oh,
20 years ago. And he was a graduate of a technical school and I have a postgraduate degree. And I think it was equally meaningful to both of us, and education was just as important to both of us in reading. And so I just grabbed it off the shelf and brought it today.
It
really?
warmed my heart when I saw that. I was like, I need one of those.
Well, I think that's a great idea. So, so then, I guess, any other discussion on this topic?
I just had one other thought since we're in work session. I really appreciate everybody's comments. And I really like this idea. And I do also like the idea of just the reminder of that preamble for the purposes of the board. So I don't know if it could even be in like little letters, at the top of the
Oh,
agenda,
Mhm.
like just as a template or a placeholder.
Just
And
something
then-
that's printed but not actually said.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I like that too.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Like
that's
you
my-
did.
Oh, yeah.
Thrilled. This is
Right.
great.
So I make a motion? Is that what happens when we?
I think we have to
leave
come
work
out of work session and
Okay.
then we make a motion.
Okay. I need
So-
to make a motion to leave work session, please.
Second.
All right, without objection, we'll head out of work session. All right, thank you. Thank you for the discussion. I think I will entertain a motion to see if we can add the preamble of the Constitution of the United States of America to the Ketchikan Public Library website and just a blurb on our agenda, just as a point of reference.
Were you making the motion?
No, I was just letting everybody know kind of where we landed. So
Okay.
if, so
Do you want
I'll
me to-
entertain a motion.
You want me to
I'll
officially make the
move what he said.
Okay. All right.
I
I what?
Did you write something?
Did you write it down?
I've just my thoughts, like what I was, you want me to just say?
Sure.
I just make a motion to add the preamble to the Library Advisory Board website, on the Ketchikan Public Library website.
And put it at the top of library.
And put it on the top of the, yeah.
Okay,
Second.
okay.
Perfect.
Okay, let's see. I thought you had moved.
I moved what he said. She
Oh,
actually said
okay,
it, so I'll
that
just
sounds
second.
perfect.
what she-
Okay. Perfect. Okay,
Okay,
got it.
so we have a motion and a second. If we can take any discussion before we take roll. Hearing none, we'll go and take roll.
Okay. Hops.
Aye.
The Lilligren.
Aye.
Montgomery.
Yes.
Echo Hawk.
Yes.
Arnson.
Yes.
Dahl.
Yes.
Finnegan.
Yes.
Govar.
Yes.
Okay. Unanimous.
Great, thank you. I appreciate that discussion. And now we'll go ahead and move on to a new business 13B, review of the COK.
City of Ketchikan.
City of Ketchikan.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Ordinance, ordinance establishing the Library Advisory Board. Ms. Montgomery suggested that we review the city ordinance establishing the board, especially the section on the date and time of quarterly meetings. So do we have to go back into work session?
I'll move that we go into a work
We
session
can-
to discuss this.
Second.
Then, I think what I'd like to do is just without objection, just move right into work session.
Okay.
All right, we'll go back into work session. Do you want to just do another recap of kind of what you're hoping to accomplish?
Yeah, so, printed something out. There it is. Okay. In the city of Ketchikan Municipal Code, well, first of all, in the city of Ketchikan, there's a lot of advisory boards. They all have their meeting times, or sorry, meeting frequencies laid out in the city code. The library board is the only one that specifies a specific date. The museum board just says they meet once every other month. The utility advisory board meets once a month. Ports and harbors once a month. Only the library advisory board says the second Wednesday of every quarter and the months lined out. The issue I have with that is that the school board also meets on Wednesdays. Going through the unforeseeable future of school board meetings on Wednesday nights, the rest of the library meetings for this year and into next year all overlap with the school board. I have thrown my name in the hat for one of the vacant seats on the school board. Hopefully I get it. If not, I still intend to run for an elected seat in October on the school board. And my term here is not over until March of next year. I love you guys. I don't want to have to resign or get kicked off because I missed 3 meetings. And that's wishful thinking here of being on the school board, but not just for personal gain, but other people. I know each and every one of you sitting at this table not only loves books, but also cares about children and education, and expecting any member of the public to have to choose between a library issue or a school issue, or even just, attending the meeting for, for personal reasons, to just see what's going on in the library advisory board. Thank you guys for showing up. We appreciate you. But looking at the calendar of other entities, the city council meets every other Thursday, the borough assembly meets on Mondays, and the school board is on Wednesdays. The majority of the other advisory boards meet in this room, usually on Tuesdays. So I don't know if we want to decide on a day tonight, or if that, because the Tuesday meetings would work, if we just look at the calendar, when Ports and Harbors is kind of the only conflict I saw for the next year going out on Tuesdays. What?
Who cares about
I have 2 votes. I don't care about them a lot. But Friday nights, for my suggestion, would also are open for using this room.
Excuse me.
But Saturday morning, I don't know. I don't have a life. That's why I'm joining the school board. To get some excitement going. But the date aside, that's something that we can all discuss. Basically, what I wanted to do with this motion was send Mr. Finnegan back to the city council to get to propose that the city code be changed to not specify a specific date. And whether we decide that it is, just like the second week of every quarterly month, or, just during that, at least one meeting at some point, during that month that is outlined. I would like to have a little more freedom there. So we're not asking not only our board members, but members of the community to have to pick and choose which meetings they attend. That's all I got.
You are so brave.
Well, I got kids and I like them, and I got a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, and that's a long investment in this town. So I gotta make sure things are up to my standards.
I'm very supportive of that. Makes a lot of sense. It's also important, at least to me, that the dates be predictable, because I'm actually planning on flying from Arizona to here in January to attend the meeting. It was kind of a big calculation that went into me applying is, can I make these meetings? And so that's one thing I would ask, is that they really be specific times and not either this Tuesday or this Tuesday in a given month, because I won't be able to do that.
No, and that makes perfect
Because I saw
sense.
something about that
Yeah.
in there.
And like I guess my thought process on that would be to just start with having the code amended so we have that freedom, and then maybe every year when we elect the chair and the vice chair, set the date, okay, this year we're doing the third Tuesday of every month that ends in Y, or, just like we would have, as a board, would have the freedom to set our meetings. Cause right now it says that it is the second Wednesday, in the months of January, April, July, and October. And I want to change that to just
Once a quarter,
once in those
at
months.
least once a quarter.
All right, so I think moving it to the Tuesday would be consistent for advisory boards, be really helpful. I do have the third Tuesdays is Friends of the Library meeting every month. So that conflicts directly with us being able to be on this board.
And one thing that I thought about as well was if we were able to claim the first Tuesday, because we do have that placeholder meeting if we're never able to finish. Either the first or second Tuesday, making sure it's that still gives us the third or fourth Tuesday with, so we'd still be in good standing with the public meeting notifications and all that.
First weeks are always slammed, so I would highly recommend doing the second Tuesday and then keeping that fourth. And I would also put in that if for whatever reason that first meeting doesn't happen, then we automatically go to that fallback, because as we're scheduling a year in advance, we would kind of pencil in that second. What happened last month or last meeting was every third Wednesday, I have Arts Council meeting, and that's like every month, every year, the same day. And so I was over an hour late to our meeting because we, instead of going to the fallback, we just moved it back a week, and I've already scheduled in that time. So knowing ahead of time, keeping it consistent, I highly recommend. And then I would also just do Tuesdays because that's advisory board day, essentially.
I think timing might be an issue with that, because I think
Tuesdays?
Port and Harbors is, I think 6 o'clock.
The second Tuesday?
Second Tuesday at 6.
Okay.
Do
And,
we have to be in this building?
well, that's how we get recorded,
Mhm.
which has been important in the past couple of years. So it would be difficult, say, in the library's large meeting room,
It's nice to be.
We don't have the tech, yeah, we don't, we don't have the tech to record the meetings and then be able to post that. So I think that would be, I don't know whether they would have something at the Civic Center. I can
Yeah,
ask.
but that's a cost.
The,
I don't know if it is for,
So
city,
we could do the Civic Center's
Committees.
boardroom. They have tech there.
as
I'll look into that.
looking ahead,
Mhm.
I didn't write all of this down, but there was only one meeting on the city calendar that would have been the second Tuesday of the month that Ports and Harbors actually had already on the calendar.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, maybe
Stuff item.
that. I mean,
The borough has planning commission on that second Tuesday, so if anybody needs to go before the planning commission.
yeah, so I mean that, and like I said, you know, this is something that we can look at more in depth, but you know, initially what we need to start with, I guess, is getting city council to amend the code that requires us to have these meetings on this night, maybe. Go ahead.
Thank you. And that's, I wanted to speak to that and to a couple of points that have been made. And one, I think I'd recommend that we avoid getting in the weeds of deciding when such a meeting might take place, in part because the city council would have to change the ordinance in the first place. I very much like Diane's point about knowing in advance when those meetings are going to be held, rather than it being week to week, month to month, quarter to quarter. The city council and I know Borough Assembly often has special meetings. They're called particular work sessions for specific issues. And it's a real juggle for the clerk's office to determine when at least a quorum, if not all members, are going to be available for that meeting. So I would want them to be planned in advance if such a change in the ordinance was made. I think right now, realistically, the most ambitious ask we might make of the council would be to relax the language around the meeting schedule for the Library Advisory Board, because to your point, none of those meeting schedules are codified for any of the other advisory boards or councils. So if we put the request before the council and the council approved it, and changing an ordinance takes time because it's got to be a public hearing, it's got to be 2 readings, there's got to be public notice, et cetera. So we might not, even if the council was in favor of it, it might not even happen before our next meeting. Nevertheless, if we were able to relax the language, then I think it would be advisable to plan in advance so that everyone who's participating in the board knows what to expect and plan accordingly over the course of the year. And I think, the March meeting would be a great time. It's when the April meeting, whenever we appoint our new executive committee, so to speak, would be the best time to determine what that schedule might be. And then we can hash out whether people have standing conflicts. I have a standing conflict every second Tuesday of every month. I'm not available. I've got an obligation. So I know if we get stuck in that conversation now, we'll never get out of it. So I would recommend that if we're going to proceed with this, that it be a request to the council to consider rewording the ordinance so that the language around the meeting schedule was relaxed.
Is it appropriate for us to send the recommended language to the city council?
I think so.
Okay. So to your point, so the board shall meet on this section D, the board shall meet at least once a quarter and then remove on the second Wednesday in the months of January, April, July, and October. I would say, or as needed. So I would remove on the second Wednesday in the months of January, April, July, and October.
I have a comment. Sorry, are you?
Yeah, that was my suggestion.
I agree. Concur with everything I've heard. I very much appreciate you bringing this up because this is a little something I've had a little heartburn with, is just the conflict with social school board meetings here. And then I also missed the January meeting because I also plan my travel in advance and I schedule all my travel around meetings. And so the fact that the meeting wasn't moved to our placeholder and just a week ahead, that's why I missed the last meeting. So I like the idea of going to the council and saying, hey, can we make it so that the board has the authority to set their schedule? I like that. I don't know that I'm like completely in favor of like taking out January, April, May, and October or whatever the months are. Only because it gives some framework so that you kind of know what you're signing up for. I'm going to have a meeting in these 4 months of the year for sure, and maybe as needed. So it's really important to me also that these things get established and set. And I like the idea of going, hey, as an advisory board, we want to change this and bring this decision to the board, but we're going to take this year to go through it. Because I really like the idea of when you elect a new chair or new vice chair, then that's part of the job of your organizational meeting in April is to set your meeting schedule for the year. And then you have the people who are actually invested and committed to showing up, setting the schedule.
To that point, we ran into an issue, I think, in October meeting where we got the budget and yet there was gaps in the budget so that we were supposed to advise on it, but we didn't have, it was either approved before or approved after, so that was no real advice that we offered to the budget.
Right.
So I don't know if, to the point of keeping January, April, July, and October is, I like keeping the months, but
There was an agenda item last meeting where they're gonna bring the budget to us in July.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Right,
Okay.
right. We'll do a mid-year budget review.
Pat's gonna give us a little
Where we
bit.
can talk about the budget, talk about the upcoming budget for 2026, and we can have that discussion then.
Thank you.
Super good point.
Yeah.
Are we meeting it?
Sorry if I may, just to underscore that point, the city as a whole is looking to advance knowledge about the budget, forthcoming changes to earlier in the year, just so there's better anticipation and also incoming, you know, the municipal elections in October. We often have newly seated council members. I was one of them who, just a handful of weeks after I was seated, was handed a 1,000-page binder filled with spreadsheets and numbers that I didn't really fully understand. I won't say that I presently fully understand. In better shape now, but we're trying to get more of that information
Yeah.
passed on to the city divisions and to the city council earlier so that we can make better informed decisions.
So we're gonna wait for the city council to approve changes, but in the meantime, can we make an agreement that for whatever reason that we use our fallback time? So for scheduling purposes, everyone knows that we have to have the initial meeting and the fallback meeting saved for travel and anything else.
Like if something happens and
Yeah.
a regularly scheduled meeting can't happen.
There's a
for-
landslide and
Okay.
people can't get to the
lack of
meeting.
quorum.
Let's say it.
Mhm.
I think
Okay.
that's reasonable.
Okay.
Or there's an
Um,
emergency
so-
meeting that needs to happen here and we can't use the room,
Yeah.
then we do our fallback meeting time. That way everyone has agreed to that time slot and we're not trying to go through email and trying to.
Okay, that's reasonable. I'd just like to add on, well, first, I appreciate you bringing this forward. That's great. I appreciate the discussion. I also, I think am aligned with Charlie. I like having the month framework, personally. So not just in the quarter, but sometime within these months. So that's just my input. So,
That's fine, right?
That's all.
anything else?
I think if we just delete in the months, no, excuse me, on the second Wednesday.
That's all that
and
needs to
That gives us
change.
quite a bit of latitude.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shouldn't be that difficult for the city council.
Okay, so if I may, I will, if we as a board decide to advance this to city council, I'd be the liaison for that. But I can't introduce an agenda item alone. I need a co-sponsor from the council. I don't think I'd have a difficult time finding one, but if the will of this advisory board is to advance this change in the ordinance's language, then I will seek out a co-sponsor for a future agenda item. Wouldn't be on next week's agenda, because that's going to be assembled, what day is today, Wednesday, by Friday.
Yeah.
And we have a couple of pretty critical employees out of town right now, so the clerk's office is pretty busy. But I could, if this is the will of this report, then I could seek that co-sponsor and perhaps have it on the agenda for the beginning of next.
Can I just add or ask about that too? Just as a clarification, I would anticipate that there's not gonna be any changes to the calendar for this year, like unless we as a board vote to, with the blessing of the city council, vote
Right.
to make those changes. But in the meantime, we will continue to be the,
Mhm.
as stated, right?
Yeah. And our regular scheduled meeting and then, but the fallback as,
As the,
yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah,
day we are.
it's like the fourth.
Is it
She
the
knows.
fourth? What is the callback?
oh, it would be the fourth one, 2 weeks later, so the fourth Wednesday.
Thank you.
Which is the other school board meeting.
But I think we have a plan. Anything else before we head out of work session?
To the question, would it be appropriate to have someone from the board speak at public comment or something along that line? Okay, so can we like strong arm the chair here to go?
I'd be happy to.
I got it.
You should be able to make a very strong argument from what I've heard. I have a very convincing argument.
Yeah.
I feel like your office is closed by that time.
Yeah.
I move to exit work session.
Yep, so we have a motion. Was that a motion?
Yeah.
Oh,
Second.
second. All right, without objection, we'll head out of work session. Another great discussion. Thank you very much. So I believe we, then now I will entertain a motion to remove the, some of the language that we discussed. I don't have it in front of me, but if somebody has it.
I got it.
Okay, good.
Okay, I motion that we put forth a request to city council and ask to remove the words "on the second Wednesday" from the charter. What is this code?
Yes.
Ketchikan Municipal Code regarding our the scheduling of our meetings.
Second.
All right, thank you. I have a motion made and second. Any discussion before we call roll?
I just really appreciate the discussion. I just had to say that one more time, and I really, really thank you for bringing this up.
Great. All right, hearing that, go ahead and call roll.
Okay, let's see. Liljegren,
Aye.
Montgomery,
Yes.
Echo Hawk,
Yes.
Arnson,
Yes.
Dahl,
Yes.
Finnegan,
Yes.
Govars,
Yes.
Hops.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, thank you. And so now we're moving on to item 13C, loss and damage item charges for students, a discussion and recommendations for mitigating the effects of blocked students' accounts due to loss and damage item charges. Pat?
Yes, so this is something that came up a few weeks ago, and the board or the council discussed it at, I think it was the March 20th meeting at first. And there were a variety of suggestions made by the council at that meeting. So there were members of the council who were very concerned that the library charges students for lost books, lost and damaged materials. And they proposed that students not be charged for lost and damaged materials. So there was a robust discussion. And so in response to that, I wrote this memo, which I think is going to be on the agenda for next Thursday's council meeting, in which I outline the library's objectives in charging for lost items and blocking students' accounts. And then I go through the suggestions made by the council for what we might consider to mitigate those lost book charges. And I think the major concern is the last concern, I think on page 3, concern is 7, that for some children who are in really difficult, traumatic family circumstances, they may not always be able to find a book that they've lost. They maybe have switched families, switched houses, and through no fault of their own, they are in a position where they don't have a book that they've checked out, and they don't have any way of paying for a book that they've checked out. And I completely understand that concern. So I met with the librarians at the public library and also with the librarian who oversees the K-High library and who also is kind of overall in charge of the school district libraries. And we had a great discussion. I learned a lot about the one-on-one relationship that the school library staff have with students, and how close they become, and how much of a when classes come in, they talk to each student, and if they have overdue or lost charges, they really know those students. And I know that we, on a fairly regular basis, get calls from the school library staff who will say, you know, this student, they're not going to be able to bring back this public library book. You know, could you waive the charges? And we regularly do. So we really try and be very sensitive to student situations. So on page 4, I have library recommendations for things that we will do, you know, regardless of anything else. We're going to change the wording in our overdue and lost item charges to make it clear that if the item is returned within 6 months and in good condition, the lost item and processing fees are all waived. That's for everybody. And we want to do better communication with OCS and RYC and WISH families, and any agencies that deal with at-risk families, to provide information to them, so that they know and they can pass on to children especially, the idea that they can come to us and we're not going to be judgmental, and we're not going to scold them or anything, that we really do want to understand their situation, and we'll waive charges whenever it's warranted. And then also, I think we need to communicate better, just in general to anyone, that we really do, that the objective in charging for lost books and other items is to get the items back. And often we will send overdue notices. Oh, you know, the book's a week overdue. It's 2 weeks overdue. It's 3 weeks overdue. And then we send the overdue or the lost book bill. That's when we get the item. And that's fine, because then we waive the charges and we've got the item back. So that's our recommendation. And I just kind of wanted to get, hear what members of the board have to say and your suggestions.
That's Ms. Montgomery.
Can I move to work session for this as well?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
I mean, I feel like this is a
Sure.
very discussion oriented
yeah, sure,
subject.
absolutely. Yes.
Second.
And then-
Okay. And without objection, we're in work session. Okay, be right back.
Okay. I didn't know we could do that. I gotta pee too.
Yeah.
Let's just do recess.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pause Robert's rules and let's call recess session. We're discussing the item 13C, loss and damage items charged for students. And I believe Ms. Hops, did you also have comments?
Sure.
And I know Ms. Montgomery
Comments,
did
yeah.
as well.
I am curious about the 6 months for it to come back, because that seems like a very, very long time to me. Because generally you get like the initial checkout, you can renew it 2 times. I
Nope,
believe?
once.
Once?
Mhm.
Okay. And then you get the notice that it's lost.
Well, let's see. So you get a notice that it's 1 week overdue.
Okay.
Then we get notice that it's 2 weeks overdue.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get a notice that it's 3 weeks overdue. And then it goes to lost.
Okay. So
Um,
someone could have had the book for 3 months by that point,
mhm,
and then an additional 6 months to return it.
mhm.
That's almost 9 months where the book is no longer available to anyone else in the community.
Right. True.
Can we make that like 30 days? No.
That would be hard.
Okay.
That would be
I'm
hard for
thinking.
a lot of people. And what we do is, if it's something like massively popular,
Mhm.
And these tend to be things like Dog Man, Captain Underpants,
Mhm.
those kind of things, where like kids will run through the entire series. We will order another copy, because generally we need another copy anyway. So,
But that comes out of like the overall purchasing power. So
Mhm.
because you have to replace a book that is not returned,
mhm.
then there's less books that you can buy that are new.
Right, but because of the massive popularity of these books, it's worth getting a replacement copy, even if the other one comes back, and often they do. Because then we've got 2 copies. And both of them will go out.
Is there any way like the friends can help with that? Because my first gut feeling was, tell me the list, I'll bring them in. You know, like I'll bring you replacement books to do it now.
Well, I think it's just, I mean, this is something the friends need to work out.
Mhm.
Like, but I think you guys do, you help support us in a lot of different ways.
Mhm.
Like helping us with the Libby, with getting new titles for Libby, with getting this new Hoopla subscription, the water bottle filler, those kind of things. And so I think it would just be up to the friends to decide if replacing lost books would be worth,
Okay.
um,
Maybe not like replace, I guess it's more not necessarily for the person's account, like paying their fines. Because I guess then it does take staff hours to process the books and put them back on the
Mhm.
shelf. That's where the fines and the fees come in.
Mhm.
My priority in this would be just like getting the book back
Mhm.
in circulation.
Cool.
And then my other question, I guess, is kind of this: if the kids have lost books and their accounts are frozen, that
Mhm.
doesn't affect their access to Libby and Hoopla and digital download. So they can still access library resources. They just can't take physical books to increase their fees and fines.
Right.
So their account's not locked
And they can still
overall.
physically go into the library.
and read books, yeah, and then put them in the little cart to reshelf.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Okay. I think it was Diane.
Diane?
first, or-
She can go ahead.
Could
I'm
you
eating.
give us some idea of how big an issue this is, how many books and how much money? Because, it could be a huge big deal or it could end up being that it's that much money.
Right, right. So for students, as of a couple weeks ago when I ran the reports, there were 74 students whose accounts were blocked. And the public library items that they had lost were worth about $3,800. And I think our concern with kind of doing away with those lost book charges is that having that bill inspires a lot of people to bring the book back, which is great. And if there's not that that incentive to bring the book back, I have a feeling it might mean that a lot more books will go to loss. And so that number of the total charges will go up.
So what do you think the return rate is, those kids?
Oh.
Lost or
Right.
whatever?
I'm not sure. It's very hard to extract that from the system, and I wasn't able to figure out a way to do that. Because once a book comes back, it kind of breaks the tie, or breaks the link between the student or a person and the book they've checked out. And so that makes it hard to run the report.
So it seems to me it's kind of asking for information or for a decision about a policy when you don't have enough information to really make a decision, is what it sounds like to me.
Ms. Montgomery?
I got nothing.
Okay.
I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
There was
Wait
snacks.
for the sugar to kick in.
So one of the things that you said, Pat, was that once that patron gets the threat of payment, that's when action gets taken. So to me, some of this sounds like a communication problem, that perhaps working out a more robust communication plan could be an incentive. So starting with that first week. So as Nina pointed out, like we're starting to get into the months of overdue. So if like starting to work through that draft email that you get and modifying that language that says this book will be deemed lost by X date and a charge will, so starting from first email
Okay.
of
Right.
that,
Okay.
of like, this is when we actually get super serious.
Mhm.
And then have Nina's face on there that says, return your book.
Okay, no. I have so many lost books. Like monthly, we get one. So like, we are very much on this list, but once we get the lost notice in the mail, the kids are like, oh yeah, this book. Because I get the emails, they don't get the emails. And so we check out books every week and some stay a little bit longer and the fresh batch goes in. So I do not want to be the poster child for this.
So then I think about the 74 people on the back end
Right.
and some of the work that you're doing that's so conscientious.
Mhm.
So looking at the like, how do you do that softer outreach of we're now into these, we want to get these books back. We've already sent these notices. Is it worth, since it's $3,800, is it worth the like $10 of staff time to send an email that says, hey, this book is lost. Please return it. If you don't have it, let us know. And we want to work with you on a way to get that back.
Absolutely.
So a little bit more of the high touch on those like more delinquents,
Right.
then you might get half back. You might not, but then you have that knowledge of
Sure.
who's gone.
Right. Right. No, that's a really good idea. Yeah.
And I would just clarifying question, if, let's say it is a student, and can they return their book at the school library?
Yes.
And do they,
Yes.
everybody's pretty savvy about that?
Yes, we have a regular, well, actually, the school district has a regular courier service.
Yeah.
So, if a public library book comes back to, say, Hought Lake, they, put it in a big bag. We get the big bag, and we check things in, to the public library. And that happens like all through the school district.
That might be an added thing to your emails of, these are collection
return it?
locations.
Yeah.
School
Right.
here, school here, the
Right.
plaza is still a collection location. I don't know if the university still is.
No, the university isn't, but the plaza is.
Right, and so adding that to the little plugs of, you don't, because making it up to Copper Ridge Lane is
Mhm.
hard for some people.
Yeah.
And or like Rebecca, maybe a collection location
Yeah.
in some form of not
I was
sending her
gonna
out
say,
to the
she's-
community, but,
Yeah.
but trying to track down at like those books of like having, if they're in
Mm.
some of the places that she visits.
Right, right. But yes, I think that's a great idea to make it clear that it's not, they don't all have to come up to
Yeah.
public library.
Especially when you send, a series of threatening emails, kids might, not threatening.
Emails of concern.
Kids don't like to be in trouble. And when
Yeah.
they feel like they're in trouble,
Yes.
it might be scarier for them to return the book in fear of
I know.
like, oh my God, I've had it this long. Like, I don't want to bring it back. They're going to yell at me, versus,
About right.
yeah, like I've been there. I'm 38 years old and I'm still like, oh God, I hope Pat's not working when I finally bring this book back. So, I like that idea of saying like, you don't just have to bring it here. There's a drop box at the plaza.
Yes.
Go get yourself a McDonald's ice cream cone, bring your
Mhm.
book back,
Mhm.
do, something like that. And then, or it can be returned at any one of the school libraries.
Mhm.
Could we
Except charter
incentivize them with an ice cream cone if they return a book?
I was thinking stickers.
Do you know how many ice creams my kids would get then? Do you guys understand? Like, I got 3 emails before this meeting that my books are late. Like,
But I do like the idea of an incentive. People respond, different people respond to incentives. Some people
Mhm.
respond to fear of getting into trouble, but incentives are an important part of.
Right.
There's a
Right.
York
Right.
peppermint
So-
patty here for you.
so these,
I don't know if we have like, I was thinking, like stickers or something that's
Something-
inexpensive.
Something that parents won't object to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Some parents would object to
Absolutely.
the ice cream.
out of these 74 students, are these school accounts then? Or are these
These are school.
student age kids of the public library accounts?
These are, it includes, student age kids with public library accounts, but also includes all the, current student accounts.
And you guys don't have any, because the schools act as the parents in this case.
The the schools are in charge of their library and their library accounts. So they would be the ones sending the notices.
And so there was the discussion, like the schools would be obligated to pay the fines because they were there's no
No, they're
discussion.
not,
Okay.
no,
No.
because the
on their
schools don't have their own account.
Mhm.
It's individual students that have the accounts.
I-
So basically, the schools don't have an obligation because the child checks out an item.
Okay.
It wouldn't be the school's obligation. And I think and I mentioned this a little bit in the memo,
Mhm.
that if we went to that,
Okay,
if we said, okay, it's your student, you need to pay
yeah.
for this lost book charge, they could turn around and do the same thing for us.
Okay,
Oh,
I
the
think
public-
that's what I read. I think
Yeah,
I read that
like-
part of it.
Public
I
library.
guess in my day,
Yeah.
when I was in high school,
Yeah.
and if you had a missing book or lost book, it was the same as if you had like football pads or equipment that you checked out and you didn't return. Like you didn't get your diploma. There were certain consequences if you had fines on your school account at the end of the year. You didn't get your grades released. You didn't graduate.
Right.
And you guys don't have any like authority over the school districts to do that. So then I guess who is responsible? It's just the parent?
It would be, yes, the child, and through the child, the parent. And that's very clear with the public library child accounts.
Mm-hmm.
Because as you know, there's a form that, say a homeschooling parent would fill out, and the child fills out the top part, and then the parent agrees to be responsible for the child's charges, lost book or any other kind of charges, and they sign saying that they're going to be responsible. It's, I think, not as transparent with school accounts, because basically the school account is sort of an opt-out kind of a situation, where if you register your child for one of the public schools, they automatically get the school account. And I believe, and I don't know this because I don't have a child in the schools, that they agree to be responsible for any charges that the child incurs while they're registered at this school. And that would include library charges, but I don't know if that's spelled out.
This is so can I just add just one quick thing? So I just want to make sure that we don't lose sight of what kind of kicked off the conversation was the reality that we do have, particularly our young people that are at risk. And so finding a large, different, broad spectrum approach to try to encourage these young people to get access to these books while incentivizing or finding some way to encourage them to bring these books back, I think is really important, because a lot of them may be in situations that are more tumultuous and less stable that could prevent them from being able to bring these books back. I think those are the young people that we want to make sure are encouraged to have access. So anyway, I just wanted to make sure that that's the part to kick off. Let's go.
I am very ignorant to the difference between school accounts and public library accounts. And I think this came up at the city council meeting last week of where's that line and how do they overlap?
Oh, well, students who are registered to one of the school district schools, they get a school account. If a child is not registered at one of the public schools, then they're eligible, they can come up with their parent to the public library and get a public library. I think it's very similar as far as like the number of books that can be checked out and that kind of thing. It's just with the public library account, there's a form that we have the child and parent fill out that makes it very explicit that the parent is responsible for the charges incurred.
So the school account gives you full access to this public library without the layer of agreement between the patron and the library as an actual library card. Is that a problem? Or it seems like there's some complication, like based on, again, the communication between the charter school and y'all.
Right.
And then this situation, it seems like there's a flawed process between that relationship, and maybe there's not.
I think it's just sort of an unclearness. So I think it's not always clear to schools what the difference is between a school library account and a public library account. And I think we're not always clear about what, clearly we're not clear on what parents agree to when they sign their child up to attend a public school. and how that library account, which can be used for school items as well as for public library items, how that's agreed to by the parent. And
Is
what the parents know.
their work, again, kind of stemming from that conversation
Mhm.
with the charter school, is their work then to shore up that understanding?
It could be with the charter school situation, it was more that I think there wasn't an understanding that in this library, our library system, and this is like specialized understanding. It's something that like librarians understand it, and if you're not a librarian, it's, you know, system stuff. So, but according to our system, every account needs to be associated with a library. And the issue was that the charter school library closed. Therefore, there were accounts that were not associated with a library anymore. And that's why those accounts were frozen. Since then, the school district they came up with a great plan to make it possible for the charter school. They had an administrator who was going to take care of accounts and that kind of thing. And that allowed the system to consider charter school as having a library because they've got this administrator. And therefore those accounts could be unfrozen. So that was something that was agreed to after the council meeting. And it was the school district that worked out that solution, which was awesome. That's just what needed to happen. And it was great that they worked that out so quickly. So, but I mean, I think if you're not in a library, you don't know how accounts work. You know, you go in, you check things out. I mean,
Not all our jobs.
True. Indeed.
So I was curious, I'm sorry if I missed it in the packet, but what was the impetus for driving this ask and this consideration by the council?
Oh, I think there was a council person who was very concerned about specifically about at-risk children having blocked accounts. They learned of a case where a child had lost charges, and they were surprised that they were charged, that they got the lost book charge because they thought that the library had gotten rid of fines and fees. And they were upset that at-risk children might be getting lost book.
I can appreciate that. So as I'm reading
Yeah.
through your memo, like it
Mhm.
seems to me that you're also trying to figure out a balance,
Mhm.
right? Like
Yeah.
and it sounds like you're doing it with the staff, you know, you're listening to the circumstance of the situation and then waiving those fees
Mhm.
as that information comes available to you.
Mhm.
And so I'm just a little concerned that would just be a blanket. And I kind of read that in between the lines of your memo also. I like what you said about it. We're not a bookstore. So I would just encourage like the conversation to Ms. Liljegren's point. I feel like I would need some more information too to make a better decision or to provide more guidance. Like how many you gave us about $3,800 lost in value,
Yeah.
right? So if the Friends of the Library, you know, like maybe, or if the community even knew that was an issue and there was a grant program or something, or we could just, you know, drop some pennies in the jar to so that we could support those types of things to be replaced so that they can be back in circulation. And it's not a punishment. You're recognizing the situation for the individual, but you're still holding people accountable because I would just be concerned that would be ripe for abuse.
Problem with that is, correct me if I'm wrong, Pat, is that the fines don't go directly to the library.
Right.
They go to the city general fund. So even if we pay all those fines, it doesn't actually give the library books.
Hold the phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that how it all works?
Oh, that's yes. That's
Remember
how- that's how-
the other revenue? We all got fired up about.
I think we got some more work for you, Jack.
I'm just gonna dodge them.
Time to go.
This is one of the elements from the discussion we had at last Thursday's council meeting,
Yeah.
when the mayor asked Sean, who's acting assistant city manager right now, to come back to the council with some clarifying language about some of these policies and procedures,
Mhm.
because we recognize that there's some unclarity or lack of clarity, to borrow your term, and we're looking to find ways to make this work better for everyone and to give kids access to library materials, because that's ultimately the goal. So, whether it's archaic or problematic interactions between systems
Mhm.
or policies that don't function well or don't serve the broader purpose here, which is to get kids to read, we want to address those. And I don't know exactly what Mr. Hart's going to bring to us, but this was part of the discussion, because that is part of the concern, is that if, I think a council member had even suggested being willing to pay the fees out of pocket. Well, that statement may have been made out of frustration with the situation, because it's a frustrating situation, especially if you're a kid who's scared that they're going to get in trouble for having lost a book or damaged a book. But it doesn't solve the problem directly, because it doesn't replace the material. Those funds get diverted to the general fund. So it is something that we're looking to address. And these concerns, of course, as part of my role as the liaison from the city council here, is to communicate this discussion to the city council, which I'll do both in my report and then in discussions that we have about this matter.
I just have a quick question. When you, now understanding the fines, the lost book fines go back into the general fund, and that's, a revenue line.
Mm.
Every year when you do your line item budget for replacing those lost items, do you see a huge increase over the years, or is it like you said, $3,800? Is that usually about the same, or does it fluctuate a lot? I mean, is it like $6,000 one year and then $3,800 the next year? I mean, what is?
We don't have a specific line for replacements.
You don't.
So basically we have.
It just comes right out of
besides
the
library
the books.
Yeah, library books,
Okay.
DVDs, we have several lines for formats, but not a line for replacement. So yeah, that's hard to capture.
Is it
Interesting.
possible to do something with the record keeping to get a handle on this? I mean, it really is. I mean, I like all the suggestions
Mhm.
about the soft touch and reaching
Right.
out and
Yeah.
and don't want to be draconian,
Right.
but how big a problem is it? We don't know. We really don't know.
Right.
If it's a big problem, we need to be more assertive than if it really is not too big a problem. The nice emails might be all we need,
Mhm.
and the stickers.
Scores?
Suggestion to Nina's point of the 6 months, I might drop that off, and I might drop off in good condition, because the goal is to get the books back, and
But in good condition, we have to be able to circulate it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But if I dumped my Spanish textbook in a pile of water in my junior, senior of high school, and I'm like, here you go. It looked awful, but I returned it. And I felt really bad about it, and I probably got fined. But the baseline is getting kids to come back to the library.
Yes.
And if I've damaged a book,
Mhm.
certainly that was bad on me. But getting it, I'm scared to come back because I've damaged it. So that could be just absolutely, it should be in good condition. But removing that might get your books back, so you can write that one off as a loss potentially, but not necessarily penalize the kid who maybe should be paying for that, but on a case by case basis, right? How often are those situations happening? Dogs biting books, whatever.
Okay.
The other piece is, it seems like these freezes are indefinite, and perhaps looking at a suspension policy of, you've lost your books, so now you have 18 months of your account being frozen. So as not to for the sake of kids who will never recoup their accounts. It's already written off by the facility, so perhaps then giving them a bit of a break and saying, you are not permitted either until book is returned or until X amount of time has passed, you are no longer permitted to check out books, but you're welcome to visit our facility.
Check out the hoopla.
Yep.
Yeah,
And check
yeah,
out, here's
so
the
you-
other
yeah.
resources that you could access in an effort to kind of meet the city council's need of don't restrict access.
Right.
We still have these great resources that are digital. We still have a phenomenal facility.
Right.
But you are now suspended until A or B,
Mhm.
return or time.
Okay, yeah.
I like that too.
Probation.
Parole. Have you had a chance to talk with the, I'm not sure, like the network of libraries?
Oh, yes.
librarians, and kind of some of their best practices?
Oh, yes. So I spoke to, or I sent a message out to other Alaska public library directors and asked them what their policy was to a person. They said they do charge lost item and processing fees. A few don't charge the processing fee, but they all charge lost book charges, which are the replacement for the item, unless there are extraordinary circumstances,
Right.
fire, flood, some kind of really difficult traumatic circumstances. So that is definitely the common practice, and it seems to be the common practice across the country.
I really like the idea of a suspension.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring that up because that sounds like a really.
Although
Um,
18 months sounds like too long to me. When you're a
Right.
kid.
Well, we have
18
the
months
6
is-
months of like non-return. And so like, if we can shorten that and then,
Yeah, like a year is a forever when you're a
Right.
kid,
Yeah,
especially if you're little.
yeah, that's a long.
So Pat, the demographics of these groups, of the 74 are generally mostly teenagers, correct?
A lot, yes. I
It's-
think a fair percentage are either at K-High or at Schoenbar.
So
yeah.
it's not small children because they can always
No,
use their
but it's
parents.
still a really
Can
long
we-
Yeah, yeah.
time. I mean,
Can we put
that's a
notes
whole
on their
school
lockers?
year and a half. that you
Yeah,
can't
probably
check
shame
out.
'em.
I'm all-
I would like to see more consequence. I get, granted, there's situations, but it doesn't seem like there is a consequence for this because you can still go to the library, you can still do all the things. You just can't take the book home with you.
Right, can't take the book home with you. The school libraries are very good about, even if a child has a blocked account, they're very good about saying, well, you can check out one book. And when you bring it back, you can check out another book. And I hadn't realized that they did that, and I think that's an amazing thing. So yeah, the school library folks are doing a really good job of bending over backwards to make sure kids have access to books.
Mr. Finnegan?
A question for you, Pat, about the notices that go out about blank books and then about the lost book.
Mhm.
Are those entirely via email?
Nope, you get them in the mail.
You get them in the mail as well?
Get them in the mail.
So I think my understanding of this is that if there's no email on the account, then there is maybe like one overdue notice sent and then a lost book charge sent to their mailing address.
And follow up to that, if I may, for the emails, does your email system allow you to track whether those emails are received or read? I know often with like direct
Ooh.
marketing and so on, if you email clients or prospective clients, you're able to see whether those emails
Right.
are interacted with. I don't know if your system allows. for that.
I'll check. It's a 15-year-old system.
The beginning of email. They never go to my spam
Yeah.
folder, so.
They don't go to mine either.
But I'll ask about that.
I ask in
Yeah,
part because,
yeah.
especially if we're talking about kids who may be at risk, they may
Right.
not have regular access
Oh,
to
Absolutely.
internet service providers,
Yeah,
to
sure.
email,
They don't
to
check that
computers,
account
or they don't check that
anymore.
account
Mhm.
anymore, et
Yeah,
cetera. So I
true.
don't know if you're able to track
Right.
any kind of
Okay.
interactions with those emails.
Right.
One thing to look into, and I don't know what the parameters for this
Mhm.
would be,
Mm-hmm.
but kids these days are always on their dang phones.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe have a text alert system, return your library book.
I
if
think once we have a
that's-
new system, new library system,
That,
we could probably
I
be able
think
to
that
do
would reach a lot more
Yeah.
kids, especially in that age range
Mhm.
that you're bringing up.
Mm-hmm.
But the other suggestion that I would like to make
Mhm.
is to touch base with the school librarians
Oh, yeah.
and find out exactly what they are
Mhm.
relaying to kids and their families regarding these books,
Sure.
and maybe see if you guys can all get together
Mhm.
and come up with a just cut and dry catch can or First City Libraries,
Mhm.
that's what it is, right?
Mhm.
First City Libraries policy on books, like no
Right.
matter where you get this book from, you can return it anywhere, but if you lose it, you're paying for it.
Mhm.
And that way everybody's on the same page and not thinking, have parents saying, well, I'm not
Mm.
paying for that. They got it from
Right.
school. The school can pay for it, or whatever
Right.
excuses they're coming up with.
Right,
And, just streamlining that
Yeah.
whole system.
okay,
So everybody's on the same page and there's
Yeah.
no more confusion or lack of clarity
Right.
regarding the student accounts.
okay.
Okay. I would like to land this plane pretty soon. So, Ms. Dahl, go ahead.
Well, I kind of cringe inside at the thought of a barrier between a kid and a book. I would hate to see that happen. I kind of like the idea of you can have one book at a time because that really gives a strong message to the kid to be accountable and that they're undergoing some duress
Yes.
because of this. So I'm looking for some balance here.
Motion to exit work session.
Second.
All right, without objection, we're out of work session.
Move to adjourn? No. Land the plane, Jack. Land the plane.
It was a good discussion. Hopefully you have a lot to work with.
Thank you all. I really appreciate that.
All right, thank you very much. So that closes out our new business. So we are on to our final stretch. So we have our board member comments, and if you don't mind, Ms. Tully, I'd like to add you to this portion.
Sure.
So if I start with you, do you have any comments for the new iteration of the Library Advisory Board? Or the community?
No, I just, thank you all for taking the time. I really appreciate it and, for being willing to up or re-up. It's really great to have your input and, I can't thank you enough. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Fagan?
Well, I'm still learning. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome to the board.
Thank you.
Ms. Montgomery?
Diane, welcome. Pat, thank you. Rebecca left, but I did want to let her know what a huge asset she is to our community. If you could tell her, thank you,
Absolutely.
not just for the work that she does, but I really do appreciate her genuine excitement about the stuff that she is doing. That means a lot. And everybody else on the board, thank you guys. I feel like we were all on our best behavior tonight. Don't get used to that. Just kidding. Thank you guys.
Ms. Goldberg?
Yes. Welcome, Diane. It's a pleasure. To kind of Sherry's point, this is one of the first times I felt like in my tenure here, and I know that I've missed a few meetings here and there, that we were providing legitimate advice to the library, and I really, it's cool to be in that work, and thank you for engaging us in that conversation, and I look forward to more of those.
Great, thank you. Ms. Johnson?
I just thank you guys for your confidence thus far and reappointing me to the vice chair position or whatever it is. And glad to be on this board and glad to serve with each and every one of you. And it was a really great, robust conversation tonight. And I look forward to what's going to be coming up because I feel like now we also kind of have a plan. I think we have some other things that we're going to be looking forward to working on in the next year, which I also appreciate. And good luck to Jack in the next month or two. And I also wanted to echo Sherry's comments for Rebecca.
Yes.
So please send my thanks to her as well. The presentation was great. And I'm going to reach out to her, see if she wants to make any notes to the assembly
Awesome.
in person, just because of that enthusiasm that she exudes. It's pretty contagious. So if she's not available, I would respect that. I'm going to take this back to the assembly as well.
Oh, cool.
So thank you.
Ms. Salas?
What? We're going in order. I wanted to say that it's National Libraries Week and celebrate the libraries and that you guys, everyone here is because we celebrate the libraries and I'm glad to be with you guys again and some more. And then also to Rebecca, I didn't get to comment before she left, but we checked out books and in my tote bag, she had a little post-it note that said happy reading on it. And it was just the sweetest thing. She is very thoughtful and everything she does. And it's a joy to see her at the library. And I'm glad that she is the person that people who have limited people to see that it is her. Like that is such a win. And I really liked the work sessions. I just felt like it was a different vibe tonight. If we could do that more, that's fantastic. I felt more able to discuss things and communicate with you guys. It was a really nice experience. And then that's it. Thanks. I'm glad to be here.
Ms. Bell?
Well, welcome, Diane. I know
Thank
this
you.
has been an interest of yours for some time, so I'm glad to see you here at the table. I do want to invite everybody here and bring your +1. Come to the annual meeting of Friends of the Library next Tuesday, 6 p.m. in the large conference room. Rebecca will be our speaker. We might have a second speaker as well, talking about the library in the community, not just in the beautiful building. So it was a great meeting tonight. I really appreciated this, so.
Through item 13B, I was pretty confident I'd be able to keep my report one page. So, yeah, no, thank you for a robust discussion. One of the hardest parts about going near the end here, speaking near the end, is a lot of, I want to echo a lot of the points that have been made. Dr. Lilligren, really happy to have you on the board. Welcome. Great to have your input and look forward to our future scheduled meetings. But I love the discussion. I love the discussions that we had. I feel like it's really been constructive. I'm also really grateful to Rebecca for presenting tonight, not just for her enthusiasm, but that's infectious as mentioned, but also because seeing some of these services presented by the people who are implementing them really helps to give a better understanding of what's involved and what's available to our community. And I think it's been a great improvement having division heads of different city departments presenting their budget proposals to the city council because we're able to interface directly. I only wish that we could have that same level of interaction with employees like Rebecca who have also volunteered their time just for love of what they're doing. So I'm glad we had Amy Tupfer here at our last meeting to talk
Yes.
about children's services.
Right.
And now Rebecca here to talk about outreach.
Yes.
And that's a real benefit.
Yes, absolutely. Robert Rice next time, since we're talking about budget, he is our operations.
That's all.
Was he the one who said?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right, I would also like to thank Rebecca. That was a fantastic
Yes.
meeting and our presentation. And really, the presentations really show how much more the library is than just checking books in and out. It really is an extraordinary institution, and you, Ms. Tully, and then the rest of your staff, if you just let them know that I really appreciate it, everything that they're doing every day.
Yes.
And also would like to thank Mr. DeMello, our tech guru. For those that don't know, he's behind the scenes making this all the magic happen. And so I'm excited to be part of the Library Advisory Board again as the chair. I'll try not to let the power go to my head. So, but thank you very much. This was a fantastic discussion. I look forward to seeing you all in a few months, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We are adjourned. So moved. Thank you very much.